Ford now. Maiden name is Wilson. Grew up here in Dry Pond, right up from the farm, and have lived here and worked here as long as I can remember. Started driving the dump truck when I was 8. Driving across the load, loaded with hay. My brother was riding shotgun with me, and we were praying that we made it across with a full load. But we learned early on responsibility. We both got our first calves when we were in middle school. Our bus came at 10 till 7. Before our bus arrived, we had to be sure our calves were bottle fed and had water and hay for the day. And then as soon as we got off the bus in the evening, we came here. My grandmother lived here. First thing was important. First thing was first is we had to eat a snack. She had us a snack ready every day when we got off the bus. And after snack time, it was chore time. You could always do your homework in the lights, she would say. So she used wood cook stove. So we always had to have wood on the front porch. That was the first job. Put wood in the racks on the front porch, and then we had to make sure the cows and horses had water and hay, and then anything else she needed help with inside the house we helped her with, and then we would take care of our homework. Okay, this is my dad. This is Johnny Wilson. He was born here. He's worked here his whole entire life, and he has helped us to learn everything that we know about farming. If it wasn't for Dad, we wouldn't know anything about farming or where everything comes from. And for him to push us and encourage us to set our foundation strong and to love his grandbabies and to help them start responsibility at a young age.
I had parents that taught me the value of hard work. You don't stop when you get tired. You stop when you get done. I think that's a value that we've lost in society today, that when everybody wants to work from 8 to 5, well, I was a firefighter for 36 years. Well, come time to go home, you didn't go home. You went home after the fire was put out. You couldn't quit. You had to stay till it's done. That's kind of like farming. Cows not on schedule. They have calves that cold and wet. Never have one that's pretty and dry. You just got to be willing to be able to do it and do it till it's done. I'm thankful the Lord's blessed us. And I'm thankful we have the opportunity to serve the community like we do and farm like we do. And I'm thankful for my children and my grandchildren. Maybe I know they're going to carry it on. Maybe the grandchildren will carry it on. But this house has been here since 1850. So my daddy come over here in Burke County. Grandpa did. Daddy was born here in 1909, and he farmed it, and I farmed it. Parents and uncles is still farming. I think it was 300 acres when Grandpa come over here. But we're just thankful the Lord's blessed us. We appreciate the opportunity.
Younger than me? Just kidding. He's 14 months younger than I am. He has the landscape and horticulture degree. His name is Clay Wilson, and he works full-time at North Catawba Fire Department and pretty much full-time here. If he's not at the fire department, he's here working. He does most of our maintenance for all of our equipment. Majority of all the hay making, him and Dad do the hay making. We help get it up. And then anything else that needs to be done around the farm we can't do, Clay does, or he helps instruct us how to do it.
About it.
So this is my husband, Devin. We've been married 10 years this coming June. As he will tell everybody, he didn't know what he was getting into when he married the farmer's daughter, but he's definitely been a blessing to our farm. He works full-time for Dispatch, the 911 center for the county, and then when he's not at work, he's here like the rest of us. So, anything you want to say?
Enjoy being here. Love what we do. Hope it keeps growing.
Shelby what?
Tatum.
No, it's not. Shelby what?
Layton.
Shelby Layton Ford. And who are you? Who are you to Pawpaw? You're his what? Your Pawpaw's what? Say Pawpaw's granddaughter and right-hand girl. Say,
Are these your chickens back here that we saw? So do you get their eggs every day?
so how many eggs you normally get? How many eggs you normally get a day? Turn around here. How many eggs do we get a day? Huh?
17 or 18.
17 or
Do
18.
you sell their eggs? How much do they cost?
$3.
$3 for 12.
Say $3 a dozen. And what else do you sell that you get the money for?
Ice.
The ice. And what does that money go for?
College.
Your college. And what else do you do with animals? What do you do with Cupcake?
Show.
You show what?
Land.
Show lambs. Say we started last year showing lambs with the Taylors.
Yep.
We have cabbage plants right now. We do 2 different varieties. We have Stonehead and Flat Dutch. And then we will do all kinds of summer vegetables also, from tomatoes to watermelon. So tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, you name it, we normally have it. We sell mostly locally to small gardeners. We do plant some ourselves for our produce stand. And then we also sell some of our stuff to people that want to grow bigger, and we buy it back from them as they produce it and have too much, to try to keep things local and try to build up the community. We also do some flowers. We don't do a whole lot of flowers. We do some, but we've got some of our flowers that come in. Start our flowers. We get those in as plugs like this right here, and then we transplant them. So these down here have been transplanted so far, and then we still have these to transplant yet. We just got these in last week, so we're working on them, and then we have more coming still. We just try not to get them all at once so we don't get overwhelmed. I do have a junior from South. She helps work in the greenhouse. Her name's Grace. She's actually family, and she enjoys this. She helps work on the farm. She helps at the pumpkin patch. We have several students from South that help us at our pumpkin patch, so we try to keep the younger generation coming back in. We want to promote agritourism and farmers. We need them, so that's our goal. This is Cameron Cotter. He's our only full-time employee. Cameron has been with us since he was, how old were you when you first started, Cameron?
17, 18.
He was still in high school at South. He grew up just right behind the farm, and we got him to come work for us. We tried when he was 15. He didn't want to come to work then, and so then he came later and come to work. He has currently right here, he's bagging corn, and he's sewing the bag shut. Cameron can bag a pallet of corn faster than anybody else has ever been able to get it done. He's got it down pat. He has the scales over there, 50 pounds per bag, and then he'll stack them all on this pallet.
That's awesome.
So this is where they lay in here. We haven't collected eggs yet, so
That'll be awesome.
you can look in here, but you feel that one, feel right there. That one was laid just
Yeah,
while
that
ago.
one's warm.
Yeah, and this one's cold. So they laid in the same hole, but there was 11 in here earlier. I counted this morning, but we let the kids come. We let the kids get them once they get off the bus.
That's awesome.
These are we got these kind of mats so we can wash them and keep reusing them instead of having to put straw in here, because the straw is we both all have allergy issues, and this helps.
Yeah.
But go back down. But we've had these. We'll soon have them for a year, and they were 11 months old when we got them.
Wow. How
But
many are there?
21. We get about 17 eggs a day. This is Shelby and Harrison's responsibility. They get the egg money to go to their college. And so we're trying to start them with their responsibility on the farm. So they are, and we don't have a rooster. The first chickens we had a rooster, and he was not very nice. So I didn't want to do that to the kids starting out. So we don't have a rooster in here so they don't get flogged. And these girls are all super friendly.
They'll lay without a rooster?
Yes. Now we say Midnight and Savannah, and there'll be 2 in May and June. It's okay, baby. Come on, Midnight. Come on, buddy. He's like, what are they doing? It's okay. It's okay. Come here. You better come here. I know it's not feeding time normally, and they know that.
They're like, something is
They're
up.
doing something if they're giving me feed during the middle of the day. Midnight, come here, buddy. Midnight, come here. Come here. He talks.
What do you feed them?
It's just alpaca feed. They can't do a lot of grains and such, and so we had them in with the little calves from the pumpkin patch, and they've never offered to eat their feed or anything. I don't know if they just know or they just don't want it, but we do keep them plenty of feed, so we don't have to be hungry. But so they are not near as big as they look. We'll shear them mid-April to the 1st of May, and they'll look like they have been starved to death because they go from looking so fluffy right now to like nothing. But it's amazing how fluffy that fur is. But everyone's like, so it's a big process in using their fur, and you have to have like a whole herd for it to be worth it. But you have to like clean it, you'd have to like blow her out before you would even shear her to get her cleaned and wash her, and then after you do that you have to like pick through it. Yes, it's a big process, so we won't be keeping it. But if you don't shear them, they can have a heat stroke because they're from the South Andes mountains, and so
they're used to being cold.
yeah, so it wouldn't work very good in the summertime here. And they are in the camelid family. If you can see their feet, they look just like a camel's foot. And say, I'm a sweet girl. You gonna let me touch your head? I know. I haven't had a halter on you in like 2 months, and you've become wild again. Devin halter broke them both, which is my husband, and he does the best with them. He has them spoiled. He actually left work the day he had to go to the vet because he wasn't gonna let him go without him.
So they look pretty perky now, though.
Oh yeah, he's doing good. She's never been sick. We don't know what happened. We don't know. We just noticed one day he didn't come up to eat grain, which is not, I mean, you call them when they're out there in the field. You'd call them. Here they would come. All right, you want out? Midnight. You want out? Come on. So after this rain's over with, we'll probably take them. Yeah, after the rain's over with, we'll probably take them back out. After this next little cool spell. Come on, buddy. I'm not putting no more feed in there. You'll get some more semen. Savannah, come on. Come on. You can come out now. You can come out. Come here.
You're like, no, thank you.
No, you stay out. Come on. Come on. Savannah. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Oh, yeah. She's like, he's got something in his hand. Oh, they're very smart. That's why they make good herd protectors.
They keep herds like
Them,
the cows.
yep, them or llamas make good herd protectors also, along with the Great Pyrenees and the donkeys. And we have a total of 4 donkeys. I know. Come on. Come on out. But
He is in my bar.
their daddy was a dark chocolate color, so we're not really sure how we ended up with a 70-year-old woman we bought them out of Concord. They were her pets. Of course, she had three mamas and 1 male, so of course she didn't want to keep any of the babies since they would be related to him, and she was not selling him. His name was Joey, and he is beautiful. And so I told her, I said, if we're going to get one, we're going to get 2, so I don't have 2 females or 2 males to sell. I said, well, it's fine. We'll just keep them separated until he's old enough to castrate. Read a bunch of horror stories about birthing alpacas, Syrias. They are tiny when they're born, and you've got to be sure you got to weigh them like daily to be sure they're gaining. Hey, baby.
Hey.
But we mainly bought them to add to the pumpkin patch for kids to be able to see them. But he did lose some weight. You can kind of tell he's a little smaller than her now.
Are they full size? How big they get now?
I don't know if they'll get any bigger at all. They do not get as big as llamas get. But they will. They should be getting close to maturity if they're not, because they'll be 2 in May and June. Pigs are just not clean animals.
So you keep them, like you get them in the fall and then keep them?
That we got them when they were 6 weeks old at the mid-September. And that's them now. The 2 that we just took off weighed 200 and 220 pounds each. So that middle one's bigger than the 2 we just took off. But
So you keep them, really you start them at the pumpkin patch time. And
and then we used to take them to the sale and sell them. And then we started selling our own meat. So we just raise them out. We've contemplated.
Do you sell the meat?
At the farm. We sell all of our own meat, pork and beef. And all the cows are born here. Born here, bottle fed here. So, but the pigs, of course, we bring them in after they've been weaned. but they also come from a local farmer.
Right.
So we there is currently technically 4 owners of the pond, but 2 of them are brothers, and so it used to only be 3 until their uncle passed away and they split their part. But we have at least 7 natural springs that we know of on this side, and it runs out between 100 to 125 gallons a minute off the other side.
So what do you do stuff down here? Like
We mainly it's when we have parties and events and stuff, they're welcome to fish if they want to. It's all catch and release. We do have some family members and friends that always ask to come fishing, but we had to get where we had to start locking the gate. It got to be a little trashy. People leaving stuff. People we didn't know coming down here and saying they'd talk to Johnny and he'd be looking at them and
you didn't know him.
he didn't know them, so we had to. And our other friends over there on the dam like to leave us a pleasant surprises all over the place. Geese poop is the worst ever. And when we first started the pumpkin patch, we would take them out onto the dock, but got too big once it grew to take that chance of taking them out there. Most time you start with a couple classes at a time, and it was easy. But when you've got a couple hundred kids here at a time, you can't. It's just too dangerous. That's why that fence is right there. That's kind of their stopping point. If they get past that, I'm coming after them. Have not had a kid in the pond except for my mom's nephew that lives across the way. He fell in twice back to back when he was closed wallet and all when he was 5 years old. He's grown now and a teacher at West, but we're like, did you not learn last week?
Well, yes. Who is it?
Aaron Annis.
I know him.
Yes, pumpkin patch, and then we have events throughout the year down here. Well, this year we did. Last year, we didn't have very many events at all, thanks to COVID, but we made it. I was really worried because I was like, that payment has to be made regardless.
About adding something.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
we
'cause I
tried.
wasn't recording,
We tried to add or improve each year. Last year we added the alpacas, and then we want to keep adding some stuff up to the playground area for the kids. Don't know exactly what. We've always wanted a slide. We're trying to figure out the best place to put it for it to be permanent. So that's what we want to do. So we're working on it. Our other building fell 2 Decembers ago in that heavy wet snow we had, and so that's when we redid all this. And the Lord had a vision. He was getting our attention. We have had several floodings down here since then, and had we not had the drainage under the ground that we have now, we would have a mess. I mean, it was just. I had to pressure wash right before all that happened. We had to pressure wash all the concrete we had just poured. Been down for 2 days. Had to pressure it all because it flooded.
Oh gosh.
Right in the middle of the building process. So we're down here with the hot seat trying to get all the mud off the brand new concrete. I was like, oh my gosh.
Was
But
it already cured though?
Enough. It did not stain it, thankfully, but I was worried that it was going to.
So what do you do in these buildings? Like,
So we'll go in there when he's.
okay. He's just videoing.
It's fine. So we have 2 bouncy houses that we keep here to do mainly for the pumpkin patch and some parties in like the winter time. And so we had a small. So we do weddings down here. Don't advertise a huge amount for weddings, just because of our work schedule. It's hard for weddings. Parties are easier for us to do with our work schedule. We do a couple weddings a year. The bounce house will fit in here in the wintertime. That's why all this is open. It was in here until yesterday. They had a small shower. But the doors all open. We put a big fan in right before summer this past year to help. It stays pretty cool in here. And then we insulated these walls and put the maple boards up right before pumpkin patch started. And my plan is to eventually do the ceiling, but I want to use old tin up there.
Right.
So it's not so much wood.
So like if you wanted to rent how much does this rent for?
Depending on what you're wanting to have. We have a birthday party package, and then we have just by the hour for like baby showers or wedding showers. And then we have the wedding packages. We have like 3 different wedding packages. We try to accommodate for people to be able to get married on a budget that still can have a wedding and to be able to be affordable. That's our goal. There are plenty of other venues that have way more to offer than we do. We just a farm trying to help people out. So we added it It was actually done, it's our this is our October we just finished in here. It was barely done before our pumpkin patch 2 years ago to start.
2019.
Yeah, this building, because the other one had failed. But the pumpkin patch started back when Clay and I were in middle school. Mr. Mashburn, who lived in Boone, really tall, like 6 foot something guy. He was our computer teacher. He gave Clay an article one day, had this little boy on there and growing pumpkins, and that was going to be his college fund.
Right.
Clay was so excited. He came home, gave it to Dad. Dad said, I've always told y'all I'll help you find a way to pay for college, but I won't pay for it for you. It's your future. So we started working, we started at the roadside, and Dad would do it while we were at school. 2 times we had to leave school because the horses got out, because he would drive the kids through the horse pasture and let them all feed. I mean, it was small then, like one class at a time would come. And so then we would start doing it on the weekends. We sold pumpkins up in my mom and dad's yard before we could drive. And once we could drive, we hauled them to our mulch lot beside the hardware before we moved it back down here. And it finally got to the point that it was too big to be on the roadside. It was too dangerous. So we evolved to down here with no building to start with, and just started building as we could. And then for a couple years in a row, we did the Haunted Trail Ride. It was Kids Against Drinking and Driving, and we split all the money with everybody that helped. And it paid for several college classes for the first one of their semesters in school. Awesome. So that was our goal. Everyone wants to start back to doing that. It's a lot of work to do pumpkin patch during the day and hone it at night. But we're told we might could do a weekend or a 2 weekend, or we told them we'd talk about it, but there's going to be a lot of commitment. But we like to keep things in the community. We feed the widows. We haven't seen our widows in a year this month. Been tough. We like to serve, and the widows have a special place in our heart. The Lord laid it upon my dad when he was mowing hay one year in the back of one of the widow ladies' houses. She had a field and we mowed it for her. And she was at home when he left, and he said, I need to talk to you. And he told her, he said, I need you to work on putting the word out if we were to start this, if there were any interest. His mama always told him the hardest meal of the day was breakfast once her husband passed away. Just getting out of the bed and making yourself eat by yourself. And Dad said, if we can make an impact on the widows. And so when we stopped, we were feeding an average of 36. Some months were like 32, and some months were like 46 that we fed the first Monday of every month. They ate at 9 o'clock. The first time they ever came, like, oh, we're going to help. They got up to help start cleaning it up. I said, we're not at church, and we're not feeding your family. We are here to serve you. So then they started getting here earlier and earlier. We'd feed them at 9. They started getting here like 8:15 and drinking coffee and talking, which was what we wanted them to do. Have somebody to talk to, make a connection. So then COVID hit, and I think we were on year 11 when COVID hit. So several of them have called and they ask, when can we start back? I said, as soon as we get the clear sign, we're ready. We have been ready. So
That's awesome.
we miss our widows.
So they come once a month?
Come once a month. They eat at 9 o'clock.
And they eat
And the building over here, yeah. They want to eat over here one time, and I told them when it was, perfect, some of them, they freeze. So I told them, when it's a good morning, we will eat over here. So that was the goal, and we didn't make it there yet. So we will. We'll get them over here.
That's a great service project.
Here on top of the hill, my brother always designs it. Some years he has a plan before he goes, and some years he just gets on the lawnmower and has his GPS and he just goes at it. He is very talented. I can't draw straight, but he has his landscape and horticulture degree, and he is very talented at designing the mazes. Some years he starts it with the lawnmower, and now we used to do it by hand. We used to go in and mark it out and do it by hand, and one year it was really dry. So we had this bright idea that we would let it get tall enough that we could go in there and cut it and drag the corn out and feed it to the cows so they would have food to eat. That was a 1-year deal. We about died. It was because you had to drag it back out on the same path. So when you got halfway in there, that's a long drag back out. So we didn't do that anymore. But so we started with the hay maze when we originally started. And some years we still have the hay maze. It goes on that hill up there. And if we have a year shortage on hay, we want to make a corral maze and just use panels. We The corps mate, we never know what the corps mate is going to be until he makes it. And some years the teachers want to murder him, and some years are not so bad. Do what? My brother, yes, my brother has a landscape and horticultural degree
Get that.
at Caldwell.
Caldwell.
Yes.
So it is possible to get something like that locally.
Yes, yes. We and I got my paramedic at Caldwell also. We both chose to stay here and help instead of going off. So we've never not had a job at the farm since we were about 8 years old.
So does he work primarily at the farm?
So as of 2 years ago, he got a full-time job at North Catawba Fire Department. Our dad, who's in the tractor right there, he retired from Lenore Fire Department as a captain and ran the farm also. So we wanted to be able to have a source of retirement and still be able to help on the farm. And we were both drawn to still do community service. I got my EMT when I was a senior in high school, and then my brother got his right behind me when he was a senior in high school. So
what is Dad doing?
he's reseeding. We actually, there was a big ditch right down there where all that dirt's at, and he's been hauling dirt in there, and we worked it this morning and picked up all the rocks, and we're going to try to get it strawed before this rain comes in. And he's just trying to reseed some grass that didn't come up well from the fall. But we spend a lot of reseeding time after the pumpkin patch, because all of those areas, that whole field up there is parking, this whole area is parking, and this field right here is parking, and they do a good number on the grass area. And we like for it to still, mowing's not fun all summer long, but we like for it to be pretty.
So how many people, when you do the pumpkin patch, how many people come? Like I know you get lots of school groups and...
So this past year, the first day we were open, I had skeleton crew working because had no idea what was going to happen. And I called the rest of them. We hadn't been open an hour. I called them. I said, get to work. They said, what? I said, the parking lot is full. Busiest October we've ever had for the weekends, but I know it was due to the fact school groups couldn't come.
Right.
And a lot of people, that's a tradition. They take off when their kid comes on their field trip to come with them. We've had generations coming. I mean, we've got grandparents coming now and say, I brought my kid here. And so it just means a lot that they continue to come. We don't want to get so big that we lose why we started. And it was to get kids a place to be outside and to be able to see agriculture. And the Saturdays were hard this year as far as keeping the crowds moving, just because the school groups couldn't come. I miss my school groups because we do education with them. Like I go over the combine. We go, Shelda, who's our neighbor, who is fabulous. She goes over in depth about the corn from the seed all the way up. We have Susan, who is also a neighbor, and both of these are retired teachers. She does a reading area and goes over plant cycle. And then we've got somebody in the animals, normally my mother-in-law. Very blessed, to say the least, that I have a mother-in-law that doesn't mind to work in the animals and scoop up poop. But she goes over what each animal's for, what its purpose is, and that it has a life cycle, and that we, normally has a rotating life cycle that we eat. And then we have several other people that help work. We had a few new ones this year. Great. Everyone was great with kids. That's our big thing. We want everybody to be great with kids. Sometimes it's hard.
Right.
We do have a lot of special needs classes that like to come out here, and we try to schedule those so that we have time with them to move more slowly. And then we have some elderly groups that come out here from some of the nursing homes, and that was also lacking this year because they couldn't bring them out. And a lot of times they just want to see the animals and do a ride.
Right.
And get a pumpkin. And we'll take the wagon right to the back of their van and just let them get right on. And
That's awesome.
wheelchairs and everything, we'll put them on there. We want them to be able to come out.
So how many, how do you make money, I think is the question that we've asked everybody that we've been to so far.
So ours is a little more complex, I guess you would say. We have the landscape supply business, and then we have the business down here. We do a lot of other things out, the greenhouse, and Clay does a lot of dump truck work, making deliveries and hauling gravel and stuff like that. We just, anything we can to make it meet. Us as the family don't take any paycheck from the farm. We make it all at our primary job so that the farm can we just turn it back over. So I guess you could say we volunteer here, but our heart's here. So the money's not why we're here by any means. Any farmer will tell you
That's what
you're
every
not
farmer has
into
told us.
farming for money. The agritourism is what has helped us to be able to maintain and to grow and keep farming. If it wasn't for the agritourism, we wouldn't be able to keep farming like we are now with the way things are, and the value of the land is worth more than us to be able to farm it, but we don't want to see the land go. I mean, that's why neither one of us have built here. Dad's told us multiple times we're welcome to, but neither one of us could stand to do that. So,
Take up some of the acreage.
mm-hmm.
And so you did say though, like you all slaughter your cows and your pigs, and people can purchase
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yes.
products here.
Yeah. So we, all of our cows are born here, raised here, except for the ones that we get for bottle feeding for the pumpkin patch. And then between 18 months to 2 years old, anything that's going to have a select cut, as in beef tips, roast, steaks, anything like that, we kill those between 18 months to 2.5 years old. Any of our older cows, they are whole ground burger only. There will be no select cuts out of those because we want the best product in return. And when you get an older cow, select cuts are not a good product out of an older cow. We have been very successful in selling our own meat.
Do you sell it like at your produce stand?
We sell at the produce stand. It's by the pound. We do that. We do that and the pork by the pound. And we were actually out for several months last year with COVID. We weren't expecting that. And we've been able to continue to slaughter as we would. We don't want to slaughter our whole herd. That's not our goal. So we advertise some on our Facebook page when we have extra, but most of our local customers who know we keep meat come, and we don't have to continue. We used to have a list when it got so scarce that we would call them off of, and we weren't able to advertise any because we couldn't keep it. But now we've not been able to have to do the list. They just keep coming, and we've been able to keep up better.
So do you all slaughter your own, or do you take them to a?
So we have to be able to sell, it has to be USDA inspected to be able to resell. So we take all of ours over to A1 Prime Cuts in Wilkesboro, and everything has to be inspected. We want to be sure everyone's getting safe meat. So we've never slaughtered here. Not my intention. Not something I want to get into. So yes, these are the bottle babies, and
You wanna eat
they
my
like to
shirt?
eat anything they can get hold
You wanna
of.
eat my shirt? Yeah. I don't have any good stuff. You gotta eat my
But you
heart?
can tell that he's got, these two have the Angus in them, and you can, he's younger, he's like 6 to 8 months younger than what these Holsteins are, and you can see how much more meat he already has on him because it's just their bone structure.
Just the way they're built.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's stocky.
Oh yeah, he just turned a year old. And we don't know why this guy don't got no horn, but he don't.
You just didn't get any.
Say I didn't have it in my gene. This was rare. It's rare for a Holstein not to have horns.
Well, you're just as friendly as they come.
Oh,
buddy.
he is super. He likes to knock you down in the mornings when he's bringing in feed to him.
You have to come out and feed him every morning.
Yeah, we've got
Sure, babe.
we've got a trough over there, and they hear the gator coming in the morning, and they come, and we got their hay feeder right there, and we move it around so they don't make muddy holes
Right.
everywhere. But he's leaving this week to go to his new home. So these are rescues.
You wanna get out?
They're two sisters, and then he's one of their babies. But they were overfed.
You're terrible.
So you can see on there they have huge fat pads on there. So they don't like me during October because we really cut them back to try to pull some off every year. But we've tried to separate them one time. That didn't go very well. That was because we thought he was colicking, and so we needed to get him out and walk him. And they both about flipped out on us because we took him away, but we were just trying to make sure he was okay. So these are our pet / herd donkeys on this side.
So they take care of the cows.
Yeah, we don't really have a problem with coyotes with this kind of fence, but
You got a copy?
they are, and we use them at the pumpkin patch too. So they are the true donkey. See, they have the cross down their back.
Yep.
It's like they see a camera and they want to show off.
They're like, it's our off season.
Like, don't come catch me.
Look, he's back.
Shed opens normally late April, early Mayish, just depending on how produce is doing. Of course, that produce isn't grown here currently, since our produce don't come in until about June, but we do try to go get it locally. We've got some growers over in the Lincolnton area that get tomatoes and stuff way quicker than we do, and we've just found connections over the years to be able to find local produce and keep it here. So this is our produce shed. This table will be packed out in the summertime, and this is where we put all the overflow at in the cooler over here. But we've currently got seed potatoes, onion sets, and then we've got the cabbage plants. But our children also sell the ice, so it's on the honor system. It's $1.50 a bag. We deep freeze it first, and then we put it over in the ice box, so it will last a lot longer. It's only about 16 pounds in a bag, and they just put the money in the box right there, and then get your bag of ice. But they can't keep it in the summertime, so it's the community definitely supports their college fund. And then our extra produce, always all of our canned goods and stuff, go in our building right here. Our building is under construction. A lot of people, I'm sure, saw it on Facebook, but we had a small fire. Cameron and myself almost had it extinguished when the fire department got here. Luckily we were here, and luckily it was at a time where if not, we would have had a lot of damage. So don't know what it is about a fire, but it's emotional regardless of what it affects of you. There was a lot of stuff in here that we had to throw away, and a lot of stuff that we know we're going to need this spring, and going to have to remember we had to throw it away. So we lost some things. The Lord was still good, and we were here. So we're definitely blessed, but we use all this area for the produce shed. We're still working on pressure washing some of the stuff that's got soot on it. Normally have our open and close sign out if we're not going to be here, and that's Clay's number displayed on there. So if you can't get a hold of anybody, it's there. And if we're out working, we always have somebody's number on the produce shed. So we do try to do some farming while we're here, because sometimes it's not busy and there's other things that we can do. So if we're not right here when you come in, either blow a horn or call somebody's number.